All right, we are. This is going to be maybe the greatest episode of Inappropriate Earl ever because, as you guys know, I first started this to interview my comedy friends, and after realizing those episodes get about 6 views, I thought, well, I ought to switch up the marketing strategy and go after people from my favorite movies, my favorite singers. Of course, I had Stephen Pearcy from Rad on, which was kind of neat to have your favorite singer of all time on your couch. Tawny Kitane's been here. Bobby Brown. But when I told people, my friends at the Comedy Store and elsewhere, that I'm about to have this next guest on, I've never seen men in their 30s and 40s eyes light up, all asking me to get him to say his famous lines from one movie in particular. I don't get very excited about introducing. Well, I get excited about introducing every guest, but this is a special episode. Enough of my talking. Guys, put your hands together for Nathaniel from Point Break, but you might know him a little better as Turtle from the North Shore, the great John Philbin. I mean, did you think your intro would be that good?
I've never had an intro like that. And no, I did not think it was going to be that good. I thought it was going to be like completely dissing me and making fun of me, which I had signed up for anyway.
No. Listen,
because I'm a fan of yours.
But that, first of all, that means the world to me. And I know when we were talking, I've never surfed a day in my life, as you can tell by my tan. And the weirdest thing in the world is my 2 favorite movies of all time are Big Wednesday and North Shore.
Well, we have that in common because Big Wednesday is my favorite movie of all time, surf movie of all time.
I mean, I look at, and I know you weren't in Big Wednesday, but I'm assuming Big Wednesday had a bit of a influence on North Shore.
Oh, on every surf movie, yeah, sure.
I look at it as almost like the Star Wars of surf movies.
Totally.
You know, you had Bear has this Yoda-like figure. Jan Michael Vincent, Gary Busey, and William Cott has the Luke Skywalkers, and many great, and Jerry Lopez.
Jerry Lopez, my guru, yeah.
Who was also in North Shore.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Big Wednesday at the National in Westwood, which is now a vacant field. And I was just, even though I had no... and I don't mean this disrespectfully toward you, no interest in surfing. It's like, this is an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And then about 10 years later, I saw North Shore. And you stole the movie.
Thank you.
I mean, I really... Nothing against Mr. Adler. Nothing against Mr. Harrison. Laird Hamilton.
You said Lard.
I know, I said Lard. Sorry, Mr. Hamilton. He probably won't be on the show. But everyone recites your lines.
I recite lines from Big Wednesday, but it's funny. Turtle did hit a chord with people, and he had a lot of. I had the best part in the movie. I had the best lines. I only had to work 3 days a week. I lived right at Pipeline, so I surfed my brains out, and I had a real life person to model that character. On who the character was modeled on.
Right.
His name's Brian King, and I met him. He picked me up at the airport as a PA, and I'm like, is this about you? Because I had always heard there was a guy it was modeled on, and he wasn't an actor, so they made him a PA. But he helped develop the story, and I had him move in with me from day one. He never left my side till we finished principal photography, and he just handed. I didn't even know what a lot of those lines and stuff meant, but he said them to me so many times, and I just I lived with him, so I really took a study off of him, and he helped me immeasurably with that part.
And like when you were filming North Shore, did you have an idea that it was going to be like a cult hit? Or, I mean, I'm sure at the time you wanted this to be a huge box office bonanza, but like, did you have any idea the impact that it would have?
No, definitely none of us did. I think when we were making that movie, I don't think anybody wanted it to be a big box office hit anyway, because we were all surfers. They cast surfers, a lot of, real surfers. Gregory Harrison's a great surfer. Matt Adler's a great surfer, and then all the other great pro surfers they cast. Everyone had to be a surfer first and foremost. And I think that being a surfer first and foremost you look at a Hollywood script about surfing and, you think this is cheesy, no one's going to get this or understand it. And, it's a very low budget movie, even though it had a great crew behind it. And Randall Kleiser, is a brilliant movie producer. But I don't think anyone expected it to be a hit. And in fact, it was a big bomb on in the film, in theaters. And is this okay? And it was.
I'm just taking a picture.
Okay. You want me to put my shirt back on, or
no? Put your pants back on.
Okay,
it's not that. What do you think? You're at Merv Griffin's house.
We didn't really know. We had to get reminded who we're making this movie for, because and they're like, "You're making it for Iowa." Now I don't know if Iowa liked the North Shore or anything like that, but nobody knew. And even after it came out, nobody knew. In fact, it was VHS and cable that made that movie a success. And then, it's had these second and third generation viewers that we didn't, they just started having like these, reunion screenings that you saw a thing in Huntington Beach of. And Matt Adler, I brought him to his first one at the Arrow Theater, and it was sold out. He brought his kid and his wife, Laura, and he had no idea the movie had a following at all. And he was really blown away by the fans and the love, and so am I. I mean, nobody could have expected that. I mean, you make a movie, you don't know. You do your best, but culty is a weird thing. Does that mean it's so bad it's good, or does that mean it's I don't know what it means, but you don't. If you set out to make a cult movie, that's not going to happen. It's not going to work for sure. Everyone's trying to do their best, and it ends up being so many coincidences, lucky little things that people respond to, and we just got lucky in that one.
I mean it as a compliment. Like, I know in the case of Big Wednesday, and the great story behind that is Spielberg, Milius, and George Lucas, all three great friends, and they all three had a deal that they would get points on each other's movie, because they all came out around the same time. And obviously Star Wars, this massive hit. E.T., I think it did okay at the box office, and then Big Wednesday didn't. So I think Milius made out okay on that deal.
Yeah, you kind of look like John. But our had he lost 300 pounds. But I have some Big Wednesday stories. If
listen,
you want to hear them,
this is your podcast.
Oh, it is?
No one wants to talk to me. And I will say at some point, I have, including the manager at the Comedy Store, he's dying for you to say a couple lines from the movie. And I have a confession before we start, because this is how much I respect you, Mr. Philbin. About 10 years ago, I'm at Val Surf in Studio City, surf shop. They sell clothes. I'm walking around, buy a pair of jeans. And out of the corner of my eye, I see some business cards. And they were yours.
Yeah.
And I think it was for surf and acting lessons.
Not acting lessons. That's a good one, though.
But you do teach acting.
No, I just teach surfing. I do not teach acting.
Well, you should.
Thank you. I stopped acting like 15 years ago and just started teaching surfing. Since you've never surfed a day in your life, I'd love to give you a free surf lesson. And I promise you'll be standing up and riding a surfboard to the beach with, my instruction one day in Malibu. I'll put you in a full wetsuit on a nice board. And it's really easy, when you go surfing with me to stand up and ride a wave.
Well, here's my confession. I might take you up on that offer. I took that business card, I picked up my cell phone, and I called the number, and you answered. And for about 15 minutes, you engaged me. And I was just asking you questions about North Shore, asking you to call me a Barney and say your lines. And you were incredibly nice. And after about the 15-minute mark, you said, "You don't really want to know how to surf, do you?"
Yeah, that does happen.
But you let me know, and I apologize. I never thought I would have a podcast 15 years later and have you on it. But you were incredibly nice, and
here we are.
I apologize, John.
Oh, it's fine. It's funny. Sometimes guys call me drunk from the East Coast just because they get I give my number. I teach surfing, so my number is very available. You'll get every once in a while, you'll get a drunk guy in the middle of the night calling, just doing lines and stuff, and I don't know I have no idea who they are. So your conversation was actually pleasant. I don't think about that. I was I don't think about actually having been an actor anymore because it's been so long since I've been one, but I'm starting to think about it. I think about it when someone reminds me about it. So,
But I mean, let me ask you that we're going to get to big Wednesday North Shore, but when I watched Point Break, it seemed like you had a bigger part than that was shown on TV. Did you have or on the movie screen and TV? Did you have a bigger part and they cut scenes out, or?
They didn't cut any of my scenes out, but I was very much at that time just kind of like a really kind of grumpy, angry guy. And I loved working on that movie. It was the most fun. And I love the cast because Gary Busey, who's in Big Wednesday, is in Point Break. And he actually kills me at the airport. So I like to say that the masochist shoots Turtle.
Leroy the masochist.
In Point Break, yeah. So it kind of puts all those three movies together. But, I knew the DP and I was just so angry. And sometimes I would think, oh, this is a surf movie or, maybe this is going to be cheesy. It's not. It's fucking a masterpiece, I think, and Catherine's amazing and everyone was great. But for some reason, I was just kind of a background player. I didn't go with a big character. I just kind of played this really quiet, angry guy in the background. That's my.
Right. That's your specialty.
That's my specialty. So
Tombstone.
Yeah, quiet, angry guy in the background. So that's what I was like honing my skills for the quiet, angry guy in the background.
Now, were you worried after?
Getting typecast
has like the stoner, like almost Jeff Spicoli type.
I think that people. Yeah, that has happened to me many times. I've been called in for like lame TV show to do one scene where I play an old surfer who actually quotes Point Break or something and not gotten it. I think people I've gone into casting, meetings. One of the reasons I quit acting is like, people are like, I just can't see as anything but Turtle. And I was thinking, that was probably the most informed character I played because I'm a surfer and I got lucky with that. But that's, that was just one movie I don't think of myself that way at all. I'm nothing like that character. So
right.
I just think that's kind of weird. That happens in surfing. I'm not Sean Penn, I can't do what he does, so I'm just I was lucky if I ever got any job, let alone North Shore, which I had to audition for 7 times. So
7 times.
Yeah, because I didn't look, at the time, I didn't look like a surfer. I wasn't surfing when I was acting in Hollywood. I was like just acting in Hollywood. I lived in Hollywood. I was playing mostly cowboys and, cops and whatever, retarded guys. And I read, this is the first surf script I ever read. And I'd worked for Randall Kleiser before on Grandview, USA. And he's like, oh, this guy's kind of a method actor, bring him in. And I was pale and fat with brown hair. And the director just didn't see it. I think they wanted like David Spade to play it or someone like that. And I just kept saying to my agent, who was Steve Dontenbiddle at the time, you got to send me back in for this role because this character gets to surf Pipeline, and work with Jerry Lopez, and I am a surfer. So they read me 5, 6, and ultimately 7 times to get that role, and they still the director wasn't sure, Bill Phelps. And when we were in Hawaii, I moved over there and I lived there with Brian King and by the time the production came over there, I had acquired this character and they dyed my hair blonde and waxed my chest and said, okay, now he looks like a surfer. But, I'm not, I'm just into that. I was into that character and it worked out.
Well, speaking of casting of North Shore, there's a famous YouTube clip of a girl at the airport. I guess it was the end scene of the movie that wasn't Nia Peoples. What was the story with that? Was she not working out?
I guess not. I mean, I wouldn't have known because I didn't have any scenes with Nia Peoples. I got to do that airport scene with her. She was a super sweet girl, but I don't know what they were looking for, but they found it in Nia Peoples. I know that. That other girl had worked on it, for a while, and the next thing I know, she got replaced. That's the first time I've been on a movie where that happened. And Nia Peoples came in, and I was like, wow, Nia Peoples like a star.
Yeah.
She's amazing. And I got to reshoot my scene at the airport, with Matt Adler and her. And it's funny, between those reshoots, they had to come back, they'd shut down production for a while. I gained like 20 pounds and got a huge red sty in my eye and shaved my head. And I told them all that and they're like, oh my God, you're kidding me. And they came back to the North Shore and they had to fit a wig on me. They flew me to LA, fit a wig on me. And so I know that I noticed, and anyone can who wants to watch that movie again, you freeze frame it between takes. There's some scenes where I don't have a wig on, and I don't have a sty, and I haven't got a belly, and there's other scenes, where I do.
Wow, that's something. I'm going to watch it tonight.
It's pretty funny. Like, the editing's pretty funny, but that was one of those classic Hollywood things. Like you cut your hair. What?
Because you thought the movie was...
I thought it was done. I thought we were finished, and because I didn't have scenes with Nia. I had all my scenes with Matt and with just basically with Matt Adler and party scenes and stuff like that. And then I'd go surf when they were working, and I'd just come into the trailer and get coffee and borrow a prop board and go out and snap it. But that's the best job I've ever had. That was fantastic.
That movie, it really translates for someone just watching it like me who doesn't know a lot about surfing. That you guys seemed like you were having fun. Like,
yeah, we were.
I bet.
Well, I was. I don't think Matt Adler was having fun, and I'm not 100% sure Laird Hamilton was having fun, but I would think I was having the most fun in the world. I think Gregory Harrison was having fun. I mean, he liked being over there. He got to surf his brains out. But Matt had to work 6 days a week, all day long, and then do a lot of his own surfing. That guy never had a breath. I mean, he never got to relax or do anything. He just, that was a tough movie to make for him. But as it turns out, it's one of his most famous movies. So
I know he had, he's an accomplished actor, but I would say North Shore's definitely... that's a hard one to break away from.
Yeah, I'm Rick Kane, bitch.
Yeah,
I saw a shirt that said that once.
Well, I would get that. Do you have any Turtle merchandise?
There's some guy in San Diego made a shirt that says "Nobody listens to Turtle" and put my character's face on it, but it's not my merchandise. I don't own. Those are Universal has the rights to those, and different people make hats that say "Listen to Turtle" or I don't know, but I don't have them. I don't wear them around. I think I got that shirt and gave it to my dad.
Well, listen,
he doesn't wear it either.
I'm Jewish. I'm pretty good with marketing. I don't know if you have an agent or someone guiding you right now, but I'm telling you right now, just in the comedy community alone, if you had a T-shirt saying, "You see that reef? Better be there. You're going to get drilled."
Yeah. Yeah, surfers like that one. That one still flies in the surfing community. It still comes up online when they post lines from movies. Because Point Break 2 is coming out now, and they're
Sacrilege.
Revisiting all the old surf movies.
No, I want to get to that. As you can tell, John, I don't plan questions. It's just we just start talking and we go.
Right. Yeah.
I want it to feel like two guys just talking not at a bar, but at a ball game. So,
other than the microphones, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, and you're probably wondering right now what I have on my hand.
The brass knuckles.
Brass knuckles. These are Stephen Pearcy's Mike Knuckles. The singer from Rat.
Right.
Wow. Which has a kind of a tie to you, the band Rat, because they sang the closing song over the Point Break credits.
1 degree of separation. That's awesome.
I like to keep everything, connected. But I hate it when they remake movies. Point Break is a classic movie. It's campy. It's kind of over the top and some of its ridiculousness. But there's a charm to it. And I saw the trailer for the new Point Break, and I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable position, but it looks awful.
Oh, that looks terrible. That sucks. Those guys who made that movie are lame. It's so cheesy and stupid. It's just gross. They're grabbed to make money. It's disgusting.
It's like the same thing. I recently saw the new RoboCop, and the first RoboCop is just which I think came out the same year as North Shore. And it's similar vibe from the standpoint of you could tell it was made for no money. Peter Weller was like the fourth or fifth choice to play RoboCop. He basically got the gig because he fit in the costume, and all the scenes were done at night because they couldn't afford to film in the daytime. And the remake was just $100 million to make it, and you can't replace Keanu Reeves. Gary Busey.
I'm a fan of. I like watching actors, and I go to movies. I saw the recent Poltergeist movie sucks. It's terrible, but I love Sam Rockwell. Not in that
sure.
movie. I watch these actors. If you get a certain amount of success, you get to do some shitty remake, movie or some shitty action movie where you suck. And I like watching that progression. I go, oh, look at Tommy Lee Jones hold a gun and say a stupid line, man.
Right.
He had to be a brilliant actor to get that job, But there's an actor that's in Point Break too. I really like. He plays Bodhi, and I think he's a really good actor. I'll probably go see it. But I mean, it's just those guys are lame that made that movie. They're just fucking stupid.
And God rest Mr. Swayze's soul.
Yeah.
But there'll never be another Bodhi.
No, man.
And
People name their dogs after him.
yeah, I mean,
That's amazing.
I'm sure people name their dogs
kids.
Turtle.
Oh yeah, it's possible. I've never met one, but
I mean, I haven't either, but I'm just sure they're out there.
yeah. You never know. Yeah, they probably are. Look at you have VHSs in your.
Oh, I don't
your
mess
living room.
around. I once, and I don't think I've ever told this story. And this podcast is about you. No one wants to hear of my
Your living room.
My living room, but it's kind of germane to the topic. I once bought a $1,000 Laserdisc player to watch one movie on loop, The Idolmaker.
Wow.
Great Ray Sharkey movie. I think it was Peter Gallagher's first movie, but so that shows you my brain process,
Right.
which isn't there, you might say. But getting back to North Shore, what was it like working with Jerry Lopez, who is like the Wayne Gretzky of surfers?
Yeah, and he's an amazing actor too. I mean, Jerry Lopez is like super smart, total Zen like guru type of yoga master, surf master, really mild mannered and gentle and an amazingly graceful surfer. And being in the same room with him, because I grew up with posters of him on my wall, and having him be nice to us, these kooks from California who came over, and one guy's died and looks like ridiculous, and the other guy's like playing this, is a Valley guy playing a kid from Arizona. We're just sitting there, cracking up, listening to the stories he tells about surfing. He tells the funniest, because he's been doing it forever. It's like hanging around some old actor that's, funny and can talk story. He just tells these stories that are so funny and self-effacing and interesting. And we loved him, and we still do. I used to go to G-Land Surf Camp after I did that movie. He's got me back into surfing. Actually, I had stopped surfing when I was acting for a while. And he said, you should take it up again, dude. You love it. It's cheap. It's free. You can do it for the rest of your life. It's really good for you. And he got me back into surfing. So I would go to this G-Land camp, and he would come to that camp every once in a while. So I got to surf with him at this. He was like one of the founders of this camp, and we'd surf together in G-Land, and we had that bond. I see him on the North Shore too. I go to the North Shore all the time, and I like to go to the Pipe Masters, and he's there. He gives out the award, and I get to sit around and talk to him. And he comes to the North Shore screenings because we're all getting older, and it's just kind of like, it's like getting back together again with like a little family that's formed, since it's become the kind of movie where we can all get together again maybe once a year at a movie screening. And he's super great to see or be around. He's a hard guy to be around. I mean, to find if you don't have a good reason for being around him, because he's got a big life. But I loved it. It was awesome.
Now, when you walked on set for the first time and saw him, were you like, oh my God, that's the guy from, I mean, you knew who he was, but did you, he was in Big Wednesday too? Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm a fan of his. So it took me a while to totally relax around him, and Gregory Harrison, and Laird Hamilton and Aki and Robbie Page, because I'm just kind of sitting there like a dumb, like Star Trek guy, sitting around these guys, just kind of listening to them talk and asking them questions, going surfing with them. I didn't want to get in their way, but it was just so much fun. But they were all very nice to us. That's what I loved about it. They were just so nice and gracious to us, me and Matt, we called ourselves Team Kook, whenever we would go anywhere, we're just Team Kook, and we just draw cartoons at night after the work of how we just gotten destroyed in the surf that day, and broken another board or our leash or hit the reef. And, we just made fun of ourselves, but these guys were so nice to us. They weren't scary or making fun of us or anything like that.
I mean, it must have been intimidating to be around such great surfers. I mean,
yeah, I think it was for me. Matt's not that intimidating. intimidated. It's hard to intimidate Matt, but I was easily intimidated, and I was kind of like, it took me a while to come out of my shell around these guys. But now I love, since that movie, basically, and since now I work in surfing. I mean, I teach surfing, as you know, I'm a surf instructor. That's why we get to go surfing together. But, I kind of entered the surf business, like Laird said once on a things like some people went into acting after this and some people went into surfing, and I went into teaching surfing. So it's I'm not intimidated anymore. I'm part of the surfing tribe basically because of that movie. I got to be I got an easy access, a VIP access into the surf culture, which I never could have done by myself because I'm just an amateur surfer. I'm nothing close and never will be anything like what these guys are like in the water. But I respect them, I admire them, and I can be friendly with them because
you're Turtle.
Because I'm Turtle.
Now, you said you had some Big Wednesday stories.
Oh, yeah. Well, Big Wednesday, I mean, I always quote, Jan Michael Vincent's line when he talks to Bear, when he goes, "I'm a drunk, Bear." I'm like, I've been saying that for years because I was a drunk too. And also that character is based on the guy that lives above me. We share a ceiling and a floor. His name's Lance Carson. And John Milius had a hard-on for Lance Carson. He wrote about Lance Carson in Apocalypse Now. He wrote about him. Jan Michael Vincent played him in Big Wednesday. Right. And Lance is a friend of mine. I mean, I've lived in the same building as him for 15 years out in the Pacific Palisades. He's lived in the building for 40 years. But I would go upstairs and talk to him about Big Wednesday and stuff like that all the time.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't participate in it, but he was the guy that would say, Jerry Lopez actually told me stories about Jan Michael Vincent. That's when he stopped drinking. He was hanging out with Jan Michael Vincent in Hollywood when they're doing Big Wednesday. And I think those guys stayed up for days doing blow and drinking. And Jan was hardcore. And Jerry just one day woke up and surf was perfect. And he'd been up all night. And he was like, "I'm not going to do this anymore. Right. I can't do this anymore." And I don't think, and he changed his life based on that movie. Lance Carson also stopped drinking. He was a notorious drunk and had a nickname No Pants Lance because of his antics. And then he's portrayed in a movie as a drunk who got, but he got, he stopped drinking and turned his life around too. So have I. Yeah,
we're going to get into that because you were in the news recently. But
news.
Well, I mean, TMZ, that's acting is a strenuous job, a lot of temptations. How did you deal with it then? I mean, you're on film sets, I'm sure there was lots of party favors. Was it hard to stay out of that? I mean, you were on a film set with Gary Busey, for God's sake.
Yeah, Gary Busey. I'd worked with Gary Busey after that movie too. And when I was working on North Shore and when I did the bulk of my work as an actor from 83 to whatever, 90 something, I was sober. I was clean. I wasn't drinking or doing drugs. I got sober in 1983 when I graduated USC, and I was, completely clean and sober for the bulk of all the way through Point Break. I was sober and everything. But so I never had a problem on Hollywood or on the sets with drugs or alcohol, because I just wasn't my focus. My focus was just work. And I couldn't have done both, at the same time. That's just the kind of alcoholic I am. I mean, I am not a high functioning alcoholic. It's when the work slowed down, when I wasn't doing movies, I wasn't doing TV, I had idle time, no job. And I would get super bored and restless, irritable, and discontent if I didn't have a really strong, program to help me with my addictive personality. That's when I started drinking. And when I started drinking, it just progresses to, it's really embarrassing and disgusting. Another level. Yeah. And there's no way I could work. I couldn't go on an audition or anything like that. So I ultimately quit, acting and was like just a derelict for a while. And then I started teaching surfing, which really helped me to get back on my feet. And I was doing really well. I really enjoyed that. And I had great, but some, I kind of like did I don't know if anyone knows 12-step programs, but I just sort of did them in reverse and lost my God for a while, and I relapsed. And I can't do anything if I'm drinking or doing drugs. That's the only thing I can do. I'm one of those guys. So I need to be sober just to have a life, just to to have any semblance of a life or any hope. And that's where I am now. And I'm really enjoying myself. I'm really happy right now.
You seem happy. I mean, but thanks. Was it like, I think a lot of people want to know, what's it like to wake up and see, TMZ, not clowning you, but like, I think one of their headlines was, turtle from North Shore via Condios.
Yeah, going to jail.
I mean, does that like make your? Do you feel worse when you see a gossip magazine giving you a little shit?
I didn't, because it's been so long that I've identified myself as an actor that when I heard, because I was in jail when I heard about it, and I couldn't understand it. I go, why would I be on? And someone said, they quoted a couple movies you were in and quoted you on movies, and they're like, and I'm like, because I never think about that anymore, and I'm like, really? Cool. Like, I thought, wow, I guess I did used to be an actor. I guess I was an actor enough for these guys to be able to make fun of me for getting arrested, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then when I got out of jail, I looked at some websites, and the surfing websites like the Inertia and Surfline, they all posted pictures of my character, Turtle or whatever, right, going, Turtle gets arrested for gunplay, no word yet as to whether he shaped the gun himself. And I just went, that's fucking great, man. And I would copy that. Now, other people would be super embarrassed, but I wasn't embarrassed. I mean, I did what I did, and if and if someone got a little kick out of it by putting a press release, it's like the only publicity I've had in 20 years. So I'm like, oh, this is great. Look, check it out. Because I forgot I used to be an actor, really. But now I remember, and God, this episode when I got arrested, I got evicted too. I lost everything, really. Basically, I almost lost my life. I came this close to getting shot by the cops, and I had a moment of clarity. Actually, to tell you the truth, it ties into Big Wednesday. I had a moment of clarity when I was locked out of my house with a loaded weapon, and the cops had been called, and I went, I'm gonna die tonight unless I get rid of this gun. So I went across the street and knocked on my friend's door, and his name's Gary Boyle. And he was in Big Wednesday. He's an actor and a surfer and a full-on cowboy, lives across the street from me. Our dogs are best friends. And he knows I was a drunk, and I knocked on his door, and he came out, and I go, Gary, I'm drunk. The cops are called, and I got a loaded .357 Magnum. And he's like, give me that gun. You go wait for the cops. And he played a guy in Big Wednesday that when Jan Michael Vincent, crashed those cars out on PCH because he was drunk, Gary was one of the guys who walked out and talked about him and saw it and was
that's
shocked.
Matt Johnson.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's in Big Wednesday, and it's so funny. And and that night when the cops went through my apartment complex, Lance Carson was walking home from Gelson's with his little shopping bags, and the cops pointed loaded weapons with their fingers on the trigger at his chest. Because, when they pull their guns out, some guy's got a loaded weapon and he's intoxicated. They figure they're gonna shoot him. Right. That's the plan. They're gonna shoot him, and it scared the shit out of Lance. And at that time, Gary had the gun, and so the cops went down there, and Gary. I remember I was hiding in the ivy under my house, and I watched Gary give him the empty gun, and then I looked up, and then they looked up at me, and then that started an interesting process of going to county jail for a while. But look, I deserved it. I needed an intervention, and I got one. But I'm just lucky I didn't get killed. And a guy from Big Wednesday probably saved my life by taking that gun away from me. What? Oh, and the way TMZ gets your information is those cops were like, yeah, you were in Point Break, right? And I'm like, yeah. Were you in any other movies? I was like, yeah. I was so fucking out of my mind on Ativan and alcohol. I'm like, yeah, I was in Tombstone. I'm like talking about all these movies I was in when I was a kid. And because I don't know why I was out in a black overcoat with a gun in my hand, because I'm not a violent person. I don't have, this is a gun I bought to study being an actor back in '83, and it's the first time it's probably been out of its case. But they took that information from that ride downtown and called TMZ and sold it. That's how actors get on it. That's how I got that little publicity bump, was because the arresting officers call TMZ and they say, hey, we arrested a guy for this, and these are the movies he's been in.
Now, I'm fascinated by jail because I've never been in one, and I don't really plan on being in one. No. What's like? Was that like for lack of a better word, a sobering moment to like you walk in,
There's no better. Yeah, sobering is a good way of putting it. That's the perfect way of putting it. Do you want to know what it was like?
I do, to be, if you don't mind talking about it, but this is no ambush interview.
I don't care. No, seriously, I deserved it. I don't care. I'm an actor. I'm an actor now instead of a surf instructor. Just since I've been in your house, I've suddenly become an actor again. This is awesome.
But you also have a movie. We'll get,
Undateable
you've got
John
something
coming out.
We'll
get to that.
We'll plug whatever you need to plug.
Great. I never want to go to jail again. I am a surfer. I've never been to jail before in my life. I'm 55 years old.
You don't look it.
I'm not. Thanks, man. I'm not in a gang. I've never been a tough guy. Any delusions or Hollywood delusions of being a tough guy were definitely squashed out of me in jail, because where I went, which was LA County Jail, which is Twin Towers, is the worst jail. It's way worse than prison. And this is, it's full of gangsters,
Crips, Bloods,
everything, but meth is king. It's the cartel that kind of runs that place. If people say it's LA County, no, I think the cartel runs that system, and they own like the sheriffs, and the sheriffs are corrupt. Obviously, if you listen to the radio, the sheriffs are so violent and so abusive to the inmates unless they're getting a lot out of it. And I'm just this dumb white old guy, broken down alcoholic who finds himself in these holding pens that are just locked up, and it stinks, and everyone in there's face is covered in tattoos, and it's sweaty, and people are yelling, and people are dividing themselves into segregated groups of color. And right when I went in there, and you're chained up, this guy squats down and takes a shit right on the floor of this holding tank we're in, and pulls out this stuff from the shit, and opens this little baggie and pours it out and asks me if I have any papers. And I'm like, I don't know what you mean. Your papers, give me papers, man. And I go, I don't know what you mean. And he's got a handful of meth, a ton of meth that he pulled out of his ass. And all of a sudden everyone comes pushing over and with their papers out, because this guy's got, and he was the one of 3 guys who took a shit and pulled meth out of their ass before they went in to get, showered and searched and everything, because they don't have anything to do with it. And they're giving meth to everybody, even kids I kind of liked. I was with, like nice, cool, some really smart young kids like from South America and Mexico and stuff are going in there to do tons of time for moving meth around. And these guys are just giving meth to anyone. It didn't matter if you were black, white, Mexican, South Pacific Islander, like they have to get rid of it. And there's no politics in this holding cell. Like, it's like, I got a ton of meth in my ass. I can't take it through that next door to that next holding tank. You take it. So just about it made me sick to my stomach, because I'm scared as shit of that stuff. I'm like, I realize though that everyone who goes in there is high as a kite on meth. If you do meth, that's a good place to get it.
Yeah, but doesn't the meth have shit in it?
No, because it's in a balloon. These guys really know how to mule stuff around in their asses. And I just, it's real. Like, and they give you a little card that says if you're being raped, or if you think if someone's threatening to rape you, show this card to a correction officer. It's got a thing, and I'm like, is this fucking for real?
And what's the card say? I think I'm being raped?
It's your arrest card, that has your crime and your number on it, but it's just a little printed out thing that's kind of big. It show this side of the card of your paper, this purple paper, or it's pink actually, which is appropriate, to a correction officer, and they're supposed to take care of it. And I thought, well, they wouldn't take the time to print that out on this thing if it wasn't prevalent. And I'm like, this is gonna suck, man. This is gonna be so fucking I was scared to death. I mean, we're chained up, and finally after 17 hours going through processing is the worst thing, because it's just horrible before you get a bed there. We're going up this elevator, we're chained up. You're just chained up and being, led around like slaves basically, but except that if you kind of feel like you're like in Gladiator before those guys go out into the pit. I'm like, oh, do I have to fight tonight? I've been up for like 3 days. I'm like, am I going to go into a place where I have to fight? And black guys are talking about, because they fight every night. But
you're in with the white people, right?
No, not yet. I'm in general population until you get to your cell and your holding cell. And I'm like, well, this is going to suck, but I'm here now, and I'm going to have to do what I have to do. And when I got so lucky, because I was withdrawing from alcohol, and they give you these medical exams and stuff. And these guys were, and that's the reason I went to jail anyway. I was trying to withdraw from alcohol, and I was taking tons of Ativan, and I found myself alone with a bottle, and I was drinking alcohol on Ativan. And you actually lose your mind when you do that. And I was like, I had lost my mind. But when I went in there, I was withdrawing. I'm shaking. I went through I had a seizure, when I was in solitary, and they just went, we're going to withdraw you from alcohol in here, because if you die when you're in county, it's their fault. It's their responsibility. Right. They kind of own you at the time. So they put me in a medical pod, which is I got the luckiest thing ever. So I'm in a med pod, and I'm getting meds to withdraw from alcohol. So I don't have to go and fight every day at some, or be with the woods, in the back. And I mean, there were fights in the pod, but I never got one. Oh yeah. There's a fight the first day I wake up in the morning, these fucking guys are fighting, and a black on white fight. And I'm like, I'm just going to go take a shit. By the time I got into my own bed, in my own place, in my own pod, in the med pod, I was so lucky. I felt totally safe. And I've been in jail for 4 days. And suddenly I'm like, this is my home now for the next, 30, 90 days. It's really funny. When you really feel comfortable is when you can just shit and piss in front of anybody in a big heat. This is a terrible thing to talk about. No. I mean, when you go to county, like if you've never been to jail, you realize going to the bathroom takes on a whole new meaning.
I think this will help people because they all think that Hollywood and surfing in Malibu is just this glamorous lifestyle, and you're someone a lot of people look up to, and the fact that you could come on this podcast and, we don't really know each other, although, I hope we become buds and all that. But, it's a lot of courage to, a lot of celebrities that I have on this show, they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about this. And I've had some pro wrestlers on, hey, I don't want to talk about my drug bust, and they're embarrassed, or they just I'm not going to talk about this with you. So I think a lot of people are going to dig this.
I'm immediately talking about taking a shit in county, but I did. The moment I had my moment in jail where I was like, I went on a rec. Once a week we got to exercise in a yard. It's not a yard; it's a cement block. You got to look through these tiny slits if you want to see the sun, and that's what I missed, is seeing the sky and the sun and the moon and the stars and breathing fresh air. Look, when you're in jail, the lights are on full blast all the time. The air conditioner is blasting. So if you're planning on go to jail, bring something warm, and get used to like having lights in your eyes. The lights don't go off. But we were in the yard, and I was like, oh, I'm getting to exercise. I'm just like throwing a football around, and some Mexican guy comes up to me. He's got like tears, in his cheeks, and he's kind of crazy looking. And he's like, hey, man, I want those pants. Really? I'm like, what? He goes, oh, those pants. I want those pants. I go, no, these are my pants. You can't have them. He goes, no, I want those pants, man. And I'm like, well, you're not going to get them. You can't have them. And that was my moment, basically, when I realized I will be okay in jail. That's, because he walked away, and I'm like, what the fuck was that guy's problem? Like, what do you want my pants for? And this guy who was there's a lot of really nice, sweet guys in jail, in there for drugs or whatever, fraud. Unfortunately, they're in there for a long time. He goes, that guy's probably doing life in jail. He's got nothing. And you just happen to have the brand new LA County pants issued. Look at his. They're all old and tattered, and just the luck of the bundle I was handed, the brand new LA County pants. I had no idea, but it gives you an idea of like, these guys have nothing, they have nothing, and they're in there with nothing. And, that's why I wanted them. And I realized, when I get out of jail, I'm not going to give them to him, because I don't like him. He was kind of creepy. I had to look out over my shoulder about him the whole time I was in there. But I gave those to a really cool guy, Wolf. My bunkmate was Wolf, and he was a super cool dude. He was really friendly, nice guy. I gave him my brand new county issue pants when I got released. He appreciated it.
How long were you in jail for?
I was not a nickel. No, I was in jail for 15 days. I agreed to do 30. I was sentenced to 90. It was reduced to 30. And I said, I'll do 30 because I didn't want to do community service. Because by the time I agreed to do 30 days, I was totally comfortable. I knew most of the people, and I knew I wasn't going to have a problem. When I went in, Earl, I was scared to death. when I came out, I was like, that wasn't so bad, but it was fucking bad. It's a nightmare. It's not for me. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't ever want to go back. I was scared straight and I was petrified in jail. But I was withdrawn from alcohol, and you only do like, I ended up doing half the time I was charged to do because it's so overcrowded and so disgusting. They're like, you didn't do a violent crime, get out of here. You know? So I'm on 3 years probation, but and I have a lot of shit I have to do on probation, like domestic violence classes and Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, but it's really good for me. I'm learning a lot. And, and I learned a little bit. I had to go to rehab after that. I went to Clare Rehab. I don't know if anyone's been to Clare, but that's jail light.
Probably my brother.
Oh, that's so funny.
He's been to a lot. You guys might know each other, actually. He's a big surfer in Malibu. Do you know... his name's Andrew Skakel. Huge guy, bleach blonde hair, ZZ Top beard, great surfer. He surfs a lot with Red Brown.
I'm gonna start looking for him.
He drives a huge truck, black Suburban that says Baja Beast on the side.
Oh my God, I'll look him up for sure.
I would almost be positive that you guys.
I'm sure we've surfed together at some point.
Yeah, he's pretty hard to miss.
Yeah,
he's like a real life bear.
Oh, cool.
Well, he used to get into nightclubs as Tom Cruise. He was such a good looking guy, and then through various substance issues, he went
a different way.
He changed shape, kind of like Jan Michael Vincent. Very
Lots of leg.
Listen, I'm as straight as a pole. But goddamn, Jan Michael Vincent was a good-looking dude.
Fuck yeah, dude! I loved that guy in every trucker movie he ever played. When he gritted his jaw and punched some guy in the face. I mean, the American hero. I mean, I remember watching him before Big Wednesday. He was on that show, The Banana Splits. They had this little. It was a variety show, The Banana Splits, and he was in a little segment called Danger Island, where he played like the Jungle Boy. And I was like, even as a kid, I'm like, that guy's not, he doesn't look like most guys. He's pretty good looking. Yeah, that guy's different. Big Wednesday was just like, perfect. Like the epitome of what a man should look like. And then I think right around Airwolf, he started to change. I think he was having a good time. And then not Airwolf. He was in something else. Where was Buffalo 66?
Hooper with Burt Reynolds.
Oh, Hooper with Burt Reynolds.
Which is a great kind of a parody movie about stuntmen. And he was like, Burt Reynolds was the older stuntman, and then Jan Michael Vincent was like the young buck. And even then, it was like, oh, wow, he doesn't look like he used to in Big Wednesday. So. Remember him in The Mechanic with... Oh, my God. Charles Bronson? Charles Bronson and... Fuck, what a cast. Charles Bronson and Jan Michael Vincent. The Mechanic. Oh, fuck. I'm going to have to go watch that movie again. That's another movie that was remade and sucked, and it was a brilliant movie to begin with. The Getaway, fucking piece of shit. And now the piece of shit Point Break. I just don't like the Bad News Bears remake. Oh, God. And I love Adam Sandler. He put me in one movie in 2006. Congratulations. I was the porta potty guy in Benchwarmers. Very turtle-like scene where a lot of people to this day tell me I stole the movie. Congratulations. I booked my first 2 national commercials in 1988, and I thought, well, this business is easy. And I literally haven't booked a commercial since. But, That's how I felt, too. I was like, when I started acting, I was like, this is easy. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Now, when I stopped acting, when I couldn't get a job, I was like, this sucks. This is the hardest thing in the world. I can't do it anymore. When the roles started to, when you had a dip. Die off, yeah. Did that not get offered? Maybe speed up the substance? Definitely kicked off the substance abuse. Yeah. I mean, I need to be busy and active, and if I'm not active, I need to be working a huge program. And if I'm not working that huge program, I will revert back to self-medicating. And when I stopped working as an actor, I got depressed because I love acting and I loved making movies and TV shows and working. You meet the most interesting people, as you know. I mean, they're really interesting and it's really fun and challenging and exciting and it's always changing. So when it stopped, I was severely depressed. And I think, of course, I reverted to self-medicating that depression. And then I just happened to be an alcoholic addict. So once I start, I just progress and do more and more and more until I can't do anything but drugs. And then I'm going to have to get sober or intervened on, or I'll just die. Now, I don't want to get too personal here, but... No worries. No. I mean, like I said.
How much more personal can we be right now?
Well, yeah, you did talk about a guy taking a shit right in front of you.
And pulling stuff out of his shit and offering it to me.
Now I used to
What
live.
the hell is that?
No, I mean I'm trying.
What's happening?
I think we've broken the fourth wall, no doubt about it.
Okay.
But I have such respect for you, and I'm trying not to get too wacky into the subject. But I used to live in a building with Steven Adler, the first drummer from Guns N' Roses, and I noticed that he had a lot of, for lack of a better word, just fucking losers, like mooching off of him and giving him drugs. And did you have a similar thing, like, oh, I want to hang out with Turtle from the North Shore, let's give him some coke or booze or
Definitely not. No, nobody's like, oh, let's get Turtle drunk. I was the lower companion. I don't think of myself as getting any props for being Turtle, but I would go. I'm the kind of dope, drug addict, coke whore that would go around to other people and just, ask them if I could have some coke or, drink their alcohol or use their coke or get, I was I was the loser. I become the loser. I was never a ball. I never had a lot of money. I've never had money and stuff. So when I was doing drinking and drugging, I was the hanger on, Right. I would hang around wealthy people or people that were connected with, drugs or alcohol or had safe places. And I was the guy with a shitty car and no life, hanging out in clubs and trying to get free drugs from people.
What clubs were you hanging out? Let's go through a little 80s, 90s LA.
Yeah, in the 80s, I was a disco dummy before I started being an actor. I loved going to New York and dance, and I used to hang out in Hollywood and go dancing and hang around the clubs and stuff. I had so much fun when I was a kid in the 20s. And then I don't know. a lot of the actors used to go to, I don't know if they do.
Spice.
No, I don't think I ever went to Spice. I mean, the clubs I went to are so long ago, you would not know what they were.
I would.
Okay. I used to go to the Odyssey in 1980 something in people's
Beverly
lives.
and La Cienega.
Yeah, that's right. That was the center of the universe for all the dancing club kids back in the 80s because it was all ages. It was run by
Eddie Nash.
Yeah, and so there was a gay prostitute ring run out of there on certain days, and one of those kids came back and shot that guy in the head. Do you remember that?
I don't. No, I don't. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't. I'm obsessed with Eddie Nash because he is, and I talk about him on almost, it seems like every podcast. He was very influential in the music scene here because he, right down the street, owned the Starwood, which was Santa Monica and Crescent Heights. And he owned the Odyssey, which I think he ended up torching.
Yeah.
Once it started losing.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever lost money, but the neighbors were trying to shut him down.
I'm sure they're trying to shut it down.
And and then I think he got a place in the Valley Phases.
Phases.
So he was just such a fascinating character to me because he owned gay bars, anything that made money.
Yeah.
And you gave like Van Halen their start at the Starwood and Quiet Riot, which I don't want to turn this into a music show, but
what's going on.
And a lot of people were. If you've ever seen Boogie Nights,
have I ever seen Boogie Nights?
Well, no, I know you, but that end scene where they robbed the Arab guy, Alfred Molina. He did a pretty good job of playing a Nash-like character, but I think Eric Bogosian really nailed it in Wonderland. But the Odyssey.
Yeah. And then we'd go to the Odyssey. Then Seven Seas after that. When
he owned that club.
He owned it, right? So a lot of us would go over to Seven Sleaze, we'd call it. And then when I got a little older, it was a funk club in LA down by the Otis Parsons. I used to go to Park Plaza back in the 80s. Park Plaza was a fantastic club.
You got
and then
that
this
right.
funk place that Matt Sowen used to run. There was a place on Melrose that was really popular, but I would just go out every night, and just, till I started working. And then when I started working, I was just like, I can't go out at night, man. I got to work. I got to study. I got to go on an audition. But I started again, like when I got a little more work going and I got sober, I used to, go out. I don't know, where did I used to go?
321 in Santa Monica.
Yeah, I went there once or twice, but it was too beachy for me at the time because I was not into that. I didn't identify as a surfer, and I stopped surfing by that time. But
So many.
So,
I
but
mean,
yeah, there's so many. LA was super fun. On the Sunset Strip, the Sunset Strip was really fun. I used to go to the Roxy and the Whiskey, and when I got older. But when I relapsed and I started using drugs again after my acting stopped, I used to go to the Opium Den.
oh
And
my God.
The Opium Den, and what was that place on Sunset and La Brea? I went there all the time.
Wow.
Remember what it was called?
I'm not Garden of Eden.
The Garden of Eden.
There you go.
I fucking lived at the Garden of Eden, lived there because I knew some of the doormen. Actually, at that time in my life, I was driving down to Mexico buying large quantities of pharmaceutical narcotics and Valium and Xanax and, Oxycontin.
For yourself?
No. Yeah, myself. I was addicted to them, but I would come back, I would have mine, and then I would also give them to people in exchange for coming in, to the clubs,
gotcha.
and, giving them to those guys going, yeah, here's a handshake with some pills in it, and I'm coming into the club tonight, and I was like way too old to be going to those clubs, way too old. I remember sitting, and I was taking ecstasy all the time, and I was full of like love. I'm sitting on a couch, the lights come on, and like, I see these two girls looking at me and they come over and they want to talk to me. And I'm like, oh, these two hot, young, beautiful girls are going to give me some love. And they get right up to me. I put my arms out and they put their hands out like, stop, hold on right there. Hey, do you know where we can get some X?
Oh, really?
And I'm like, what are you asking me for? And they're like, because you look pretty faded, dude. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just this fucking... Yeah, I got to get out of here. I got to go home. And it was so depressing to realize, to get a little perspective on what, because I lived fantasy as my drug of choice, my first drug. So I'm thinking like, oh, I'm going out. I'm seeing all these pretty girls. I never got together with any of them. They didn't like me or anything. I just was in taking drugs and fantasy and delusion thinking I could hang. I couldn't.
I find that hard to believe that these girls never hooked up with you.
No, never. No, I was just a derelict.
Yeah, but I've been to those clubs, and I am from a slightly different perspective because I've never had a drug or drink in my life.
How did you? Why? Because of your brother?
Well, my mom. I was, and once again, I don't want to make this about me, but I was one of 5 kids. I was the baby, and my mom was so desperate to not have me turn out like some of my siblings, who I all love. She's like, "I'll buy you the car of your choice if you don't do anything until you're 18. Then you can do whatever you want." And, it happened. And after that, I was like, well, why start?
Right.
So most of my friends who were all agents and managers, very high ICM, William Morris, I think Triad at the time, they would take me to all these parties and clubs and VIP treatment. And they wanted me around because I was a big guy. And in case I can't fight at all, but it's all about appearances.
Actually, looking like you can is more valuable.
Absolutely, it's
a deterrent.
It's like people everywhere I go, people ask me for coke.
Yeah, totally.
Because the beard and the slow speech, and they think I'm like a dealer or something. And like last night at the Comedy Store, this guy walks up to me and goes, "Hey man, you got any powder?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I don't have any powder." So yeah, I was led a wild life just because I was. Most of my friends did drugs and booze, so it was. We've kind of lived parallel lives. I'm sure I may have run into you at Garden of Eden.
Yeah, probably.
And
did you always have that beard? That's a ZZ
No,
Top
I'm
beard.
clean shaven.
Top beard?
Usually, I'm a big fan of the show Sons of Anarchy, which is not on the air anymore. But
you look like a. Do you have a motorcycle?
No. I'm too scared to drive a motorcycle.
Yeah, that's good. That's smart. Another smart choice.
Well, I'm not the smartest. I'm probably one of the dumbest people you've ever met, John.
That's just a testament to how clean living is good for you, no matter what.
Well, I think so. I mean, I'm 46, and
wow.
You
don't look it.
Well, clean. You don't look 55 though. You survived. I mean,
yeah, we are survivors.
Well,
we survived if we survived the Odyssey, the Garden of Eden, and Hollywood without doing. and we're alive and healthy right now. We're really doing all right. We're doing very well.
I've been to gangbangs where there was I got uncomfortable and. Underage girls. I was like, I got to get out of here. I don't feel right now. Maybe it's because I was sober. It's like this is. I'm not.
It's scary, man. What people will do.
Well, yeah, and I saw.
It's not my scene.
Like a lot of, I don't say wannabe actors, but like desperate, people chasing fame, like going into guys' offices. Oh, I'll make you a star. I mean, you must have seen a lot of that. Not you personally, but like, just it's a sick business, man.
Yeah, I saw that movie Entourage
Right.
the other day, and during that whole movie, I was like, I gotta get out of LA. That's just, I mean, it's the most disgusting the way they show it. It wasn't like that with me because I was an actor and my friends were actors, and we were having fun, and it was, I never really saw that seedy, disgusting side of it. But when I see Entourage, I'm like, I mean, they make that up and stuff, but I mean, it was just it was that movie is everything that's disgusting about Hollywood, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you were a successful actor. I mean,
Well, no, I wouldn't say I was successful, but I was friends with some people that were very successful, and they weren't disgusting or gross or anything like that. But when I see that movie, I'm like, or that, like, I wouldn't watch that TV show. I just go to those movies because I'm bored, I'm sober, I don't have a job. I'm like, I'll go to a movie, and I'm like, Hollywood, is grosser than people imagine.
well, it's just so.
There's a side of it that's grosser. People like us that are clean and that the work ethic's insane. You can't, I mean, when you're a worker in Hollywood, it's different. You're up early, you're super healthy, you're working your ass off, you're friendly with anyone. Like my cousin where I live, Mike O'Malley, that guy's a powerhouse. I mean, he's got so much energy. He helps so many people. He works so hard. And that was my experience when I was working in Hollywood. The people that are working and doing things are interesting, smart, and hard working people. It's the image of Hollywood that's a lot. If someone going after that instead of the work ethic and the artwork of it or the craft of it, whatever, then that's gross. And I would fall into that when I was going out at night and not working. When I'm not working and slipped into being another degenerate, that's gross.
Well, I've
been there.
Well, yeah, but you survived.
I survived.
You're back. You're back in Hollywood, actually.
Back in Hollywood, yeah.
Because I see. On IMDb, you are in a movie called Undateable John.
Yes. I did this movie with Estella Warren and Daryl Hannah and Tom Arnold, and Cynthia Posner wrote it, and Joan Jett produced it, and she's in it also, and she does all the music for it, and all those people are amazing. And we made, a low budget movie, and I tell you, I saw it the other day and I really liked it. Now, I didn't expect to. I was afraid of what it would turn out because it's about, alcoholics and, relapsers. And I relapsed like the day I finished shooting on that movie is when I started drinking again. But I was sober for that whole thing and totally gluten-free and sober, lost a bunch of weight. I was like working every day, all day, like had to get a B shot. I'm like, this is really cool. As soon as it ended, I'm like, go. But I saw it the other day and it looks really good. I can't wait till they finish the sound and the color correction and everything. And I'll have a new reel of the new John Philbin. Hey, check me out.
Listen, it's my goal to get John Philbin back in the fucking...
in front of the camera.
I'm telling you, man. It's all about YouTube now. I see things. I'm telling you.
What do you see? Because I don't know. I'm so far out of that thing. I don't know what...
Here's the thing.
What's YouTube?
YouTube, the big thing right now is parody videos. My friend Whitney Rice, incredible comic and actress, she does these Lana Del Rey parodies because she looks like her. She gets millions of hits.
Whoa.
And I'm telling you right now, here I am giving you advice. I've got your DVD movies in my house. I don't think you have bench warmers in your house. We'll work on that. You bring back the turtle character. I'm telling you, you're going to think I'm crazy, Earl, I've moved on from North Shore, but it's such an iconic scene. And if you somehow tie it into something that's current right now, it'll go viral. You put it on Funny or Die, which is like the big, they put up all the hot parody, and I'm telling you, you'll get a whole new fan base. Because your North Shore is so iconic that if you did, like, Turtle previews the Republican candidates for president. Just something stupid. It's stupid sells. Yeah, and I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna. I don't know if we could get the hair. You got your whole head. You got a head of hair at 55, man. That's impressive.
I got that going for me. Yeah.
So we get you a wig.
Give me a wig.
And I don't know if these guys would be into it. Star power helps. Maybe Gregory Harrison can be coaxed into. Just got to be something.
Hey, Gregory, they're trying to make a sequel to North Shore, not remake it, but a sequel. And Gregory Harrison, was into it, and Randall wanted it, and there was a time when I did a little promotion. I wanted it too. I wanted it, but I just, a sequel to a culty, it just doesn't, how can they just can't do that anymore. I just don't, he got lucky once with that. I don't think they could ever happen again.
Well, I think I'm a big hockey fan, and I think surf and hockey in America are very similar in terms of, I don't want to say cult, maybe is the wrong word I'm looking for, a niche sport. You know, I know when Wayne Gretzky played in LA, he could walk down the street naked. Here's the Jerry Lopez of hockey.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. But in Canada, he would get mobbed. I'm sure in Hawaii and Australia, surf movies do better than they would here. But I could see a sequel to North Shore if it's done right, and if everyone from the original film, you know, the main cast. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to think. You know, just on the fly filmmaking here. Maybe Mr. Adler is or Mr. Kane is down and out. He's lost all his money. He wants to try a comeback.
We're old men now, man.
Well, I know, but you gotta like.
You mean come back to the North Shore? He returns.
He returns to the North Shore either to compete.
No, his son competes. It was 30 years ago we did North Shore.
I know.
You still feel like a 17-year-old inside.
Maybe you call it the Son of Shore.
Yeah, there's it's a funny. Yeah, I wish him luck. Good luck with that, you guys.
Well, listen, I'm not, you know, I don't put any idea out to pasture. When you see what's on TV now, with the reality TV shows, I mean, Caitlyn Jenner now has got a whole documentary with the changeover and whatnot. So the Son of Shore is not that bad of an idea. Spike TV's probably already got it in development.
I saw a picture of the back cover of the Vanity Fair thing. Did you see that?
I mean, listen.
The tucked in. The tuck going up the back.
I got no. I don't tell anyone how to live their life. If you want to chop your dick off,
No, is that going to be on the reality show?
Yeah, it's the whole
that procedure.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to.
Oh my God!
I don't think they're going to show his dick getting chopped off.
Why not? I mean, that would be the most fucking gnarliest thing ever of all time. I've never seen anyone have their penis removed.
Well, you know, here's my thing. If you're going to do that, that's fine. But, you know, at least get bigger tits and a bigger ass. I mean, if you're going to go in, go in. If I was going to become a woman, I would get the biggest set of tits you could see. I'd get like butt implants. I mean, I'd be looking good. He looks, boy, he looks rough as a woman. Now, I'm not the greatest looking guy either, but
I don't.
You know, I'm not going on 2020 either.
I miss that whole reality show stuff, you know, like I just missed it. I missed that chapter of life.
Well,
I know it's very popular, but I haven't seen any of it. I don't know anything about the Kardashians or Bruce Jenner or any of that.
Well, that's the thing. When we were going to clubs and you know, the 80s and whatnot, I mean, there was no internet, you know, so if you wanted to go out, you had to go out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, now it's like, if you want to go to a movie with your other half or just some chick you're trying to get it on with, so come over, let's watch Netflix. You know, let's watch, if you want to go to a comedy club, I mean, maybe one night you say, I want to see Earl at the Comedy Store. And you're a little tired. You're like, I'll just watch George Carlin on YouTube. You know, I certainly don't put myself in George Carlin's category. I just, you know, but back then, if you wanted to go to a comedy club, you know, you call up your, you know, celebrity or non-celebrity friends. Hey, let's go to the Odyssey. You had to go there.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't get the whole reality thing of people being famous for
going out.
I mean, you're famous because you're a talented actor, a talented surfer. You know, Kim Kardashian's famous because she let some guy fuck her on tape.
Who?
The rapper Ray J. That's really where she got known. Like, you know, her dad was one of the OJ lawyers. Robert Kardashian, and she did a sex tape with that Ray J guy, and then everyone wanted to see it, and then but it's like, what are you famous for? Like, what's your talent? Oh, and I'm not hating on her.
I just don't know anything about it. I've seen a little bit of it on Saturday Night Live. Some comedian makes fun of her, but I've never seen her on anything or do anything.
But it's like, you're on this couch today because I'm a fan. I've seen your movies, and you know, hopefully one day Mr. Harrison will see the era
Gregory
of his.
Harrison. So you asked him, what did he say?
He didn't even get back to me, to be honest with you.
80s actor, Trapper John and stuff. He's a full-on surfer.
But I mean, like, I'm sure when I initially, you know, I think one day I saw North Shore. I'm like, fuck it, I want to see if I can get Turtle on, because you seemed like the funner out of the bunch. And I think I Facebooked you, and you know, you actually got back to me, and I think you said you had some things to sort out. I'm sure you didn't feel like telling me them at that time, and I was like, okay, he's just being nice and kind of blowing me off. And then we connected recently, and you're like, you want to do it? I'm like, oh my god, what a great guy. And Mr. Harrison didn't exactly get back to me, but I understand. It's weird probably for you. Was it weird for you to get a Facebook message from some dude you don't know? You probably think, who the fuck is this guy?
No, but I became a fan because I watched some of your stuff, and David Arquette. You had David Arquette on. I like that episode. I watched that episode. I listened to that episode, and there's you do a lot of cool, super cool stuff, and I really liked it. But I'm like, I don't think of like Gregory Harrison's an actor. I mean, he has an agent. He goes on auditions. He does jobs in TV shows and stuff. I don't do that anymore. So when some guy wants to talk to me about something, if I can talk about surfing or say, hey, I teach surfing now, or yeah, I did that movie and it was fun and it's positive, I'm thrilled to do it because I don't really have anything to do. You know, if I'm not working teaching surfing, and you know, hopefully I'll start acting again now that I'm retired. But I mean, I'm not going to like spend 8 hours a day driving around to Burbank to go up on something that there's 100 other guys exactly like me. You know, I'm not going to be doing that. But if someone wants to do something in the entertainment industry, and that's talking about it or acting or making a movie or whatever, I think it's fun. I have no problem with it. When I was younger, I was like, no, I couldn't be bothered. And I could see how Gregory's like. He lives in Oxnard, and you know, he'd probably like, I don't know. He's got kids and a wife and a pretty big life, whereas I'm single, just fresh out of rehab, just wondering reinventing myself.
Sure.
So this for me is really fun.
No, it's a super honor.
Okay.
And it's, you know, I really only want to interview people I like, respect. That's the great thing about this podcast is you don't deal with anyone you don't want to deal with.
Yeah, it's your house.
Yeah, it's my house.
In your house.
You know, a few people are like, well, I'll do it over the phone. And I just don't think it works over the phone. Try and make it like a informal talk show. Like David Arquette was awesome. You know, his history in the business with his family, and you know, just he was amazing.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah, just super nice. He comes to the Comedy Store late night in various shapes of mind.
He's gonna clean up this. You know, we come and go.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He's the sweetest guy. Man. And you know, I am a pro wrestling fan, and he at one point was the WCW heavyweight champion. Which
oh my god,
might have showed you why WCW went out of business. You know, because he did a movie called Ready to Rumble, and I think someone thought it was a good idea. Hey, let's put the actual heavyweight championship belt on him while the movie's out. And I'm sure guys like Ric Flair and famous pro wrestlers were like, What the fuck? We've been busting our hump for 30 years, breaking bones, and this guy is like.
This actor comes over and gets this thing. Yeah.
So, but did being around Tom Arnold.
Tom Arnold plays my sponsor, an undateable John. Tom Arnold plays my sponsor. I'm a relapser. He's a sober guy who runs a meeting, you know, an AA meeting, and he has a lot of energy.
Yeah, he does.
Tom Arnold has a lot of energy, and he gives me advice that I don't understand or take seriously at the time, and you know, ultimately I got to see him again and thank him, because I think he made it all up from his real life, the stuff he was saying to me, and since then I have taken his advice. I've had to. I've listened I've I have drank the Kool-Aid, and now I think back to what he said. I can't wait to see him and go, hey, I do all the shit you said to my character back in that movie that you made up, that you ad-libbed. I actually do it in my life now. It's real life and imitating art.
Now, do you play the slacker surf instructor, or what's your role in Undateable John?
I play Undateable John. I am a slacker surf instructor, recently, relapsing guy trying to get sober. Not far from the real John.
Right.
Philbin sitting on your couch right now. But I mean, I don't play me, but it's
to a degree you do.
To a degree I do. And I work, and everyone in there is in recovery, like in the movies about recovery. And, this was before that TV show Undateable came out. I was like, hey, have you seen, they're like a movie and a TV show Undateable have come out before this. Maybe they'll change the title. But yeah, I play Undateable John. And I actually, since this arrest, I actually have become undateable.
Well, but I mean, what
John,
do you find right now, since you're clean and not struggling, but
reinventing my life, starting fresh?
Yeah. Do you find do you probably wouldn't be the greatest time to bring a girl into your life right now, or do you?
I'm couch surfing. I'm house sitting. I can't have any girls. I need to work on myself right now. I'm like totally all about getting a really strong foundation and getting super, super healthy, responsible, self-supporting, working again, starting to work again, and just having a real, nice life. It's out there for anyone who really wants it. And I don't mean work and stuff, but just a nice life, being healthy and having real friends, good friends, and having a real life. It's, and I found it's not that, if you ask, if you want it, if it's sincere, if it's heartfelt, the world kind of responds. And that's what I'm experiencing right now. And it's a beautiful thing. I don't have two nickels to rub together, but I'm really happy. And, I am reinventing my life, and I'm not afraid of it. It's weird. I don't have a lot of anxiety or anything. I mean, I've had things before, and I've had success, and I guess I've had the things people talk about, cars or whatever, places to live.
Right.
And and now I don't have anything, but I have a car and a really cool motorcycle that Matt Adler gave me, that George Clooney gave to him. I just had to drop that name on your show. It's right outside the house right now.
We're going to take a picture of it.
I hope so.
I might,
I hope so.
Where's Matt Adler? Does he live?
Matt Adler's the greatest guy. He married Laura San Giacomo. He lives in the Valley. They have a kid, that beautiful woman, beautiful wife, and great kid, Mason. And Matt stopped acting, but he works. He didn't quit acting. He does voiceovers. He's in the Loop Group. He's been in the Loop Group for 25 years. So you are nodding your head. So you know what that means. When he goes to his mailbox, it's a SAG job. He's got 10 or 15 residual checks in his mailbox every day. So Matt's doing just fine. I mean, he's one of George's best friends. So Matt's got an amazing life, but it's mostly now because his life, he's married with a kid, and so he's a busy guy. And he's a scratch golfer. He just got tired of riding this bike, and it's fucking scary riding a motorcycle these days in LA. The drivers are all texting, and they're angry, and there's so many drivers, and the traffic has gotten so bad that motorcycles are getting killed left and right. They're just accident involving a motorcycle. So he came close a couple times, said, I'm getting rid of this bike. You want it? And I'm like, I don't have any money, right? I can't. He goes, no, I'm not selling it. I'm giving it away. It was given to me. I'm giving it away. Because George, he's the most generous guy in the world. He gives bikes to all his friends. I don't know if because he's trying to get them killed, or whether he just wants people to ride with, But so that's my, that's one of my claims to fame. So I'm riding a bike Matt Adler gave me that George Clooney gave him.
Well, listen.
And I'm claiming it.
Listen.
The cheese rolls downhill. I mean, people throw bones out in Hollywood. You just got to catch. You still got to catch the
They're
bone.
out there. Oh, absolutely.
You got to catch it. You got to reach up and catch it.
Well, we're gonna get you back at the top of the game.
Okay.
This is a baby step. This is the lowest step on the ladder of this show, and just little baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. That's fine with me. Baby steps.
Get you on the.
Stick with me. I'll take you straight to the middle.
No, I'll take you to the bottom, but at least I'll do it sober.
We're gonna go surfing one of these days. You're gonna have a good time. I know. Well, you can't say to me, I've never been surfing a million times, but surf movies, these are my two favorite surf movies, not this one, Big Wednesday, and not expect me to go, well, I'm gonna take you surfing now. You don't have to pay for it. You just enjoy yourself.
First
It'll
of all,
be fun.
I would pay you for it.
You don't have to pay me for it.
But I'm this I got from my dad. Never take anything for free. It's people's time and effort. You were nice enough to do this.
I'm doing this for free. No, I'm just
Right, you are.
But it's publicity.
Well, I hope it is a popular podcast. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's getting me back in the swing of it.
I'm not on any podcast network. I do it all, on my own, which I prefer. And it's a little harder that way, but I just want to interview people I like. One day maybe Mr. Adler will, even in between voiceover jobs, I want to interview every person.
Oh, he would never come on the show. I'm
really?
Just kidding. I heard that. I heard Mia Farrow say that to David Letterman once, or Johnny Carson, or someone like that. I don't remember who. And I've always wanted to say it, and I just got to say it. And then I immediately blew up by saying, I got that from Mia Farrow. She was talking about Woody Allen doing an interview, and he's like, well, would he ever? And she's like, oh, he would never come on the show. And she was just fucking with him too. Right. But it was, I don't know about. I can't answer. I can't speak for anyone else. But she was just. I can't believe it, man. I can't believe I would take a line I've wanted to say all my life and then just immediately apologize about it for 5 minutes.
Well, I'm gonna before we end, we're wrapping things up. My goal is I want people to go. I want to hear that guy again. I don't like to shoot the whole wad on the first show.
I think you're gonna have a lot of editing to do. Like,
oh no,
shut out.
Well, I told you before we started. Daddy doesn't edit.
Can you believe it? For me, time flew by. I don't know if I was listening to this, if I would feel that way, but I was talking and I like talking. So you asked me questions and I talked, and all of a sudden the time. We
are at an hour and 20 minutes.
Fuck.
But it's... That's how a podcast should feel. You shouldn't feel like, God, when's this guy going to shut up? You're the perfect podcast guest because, like I said, the people who do listen to this, they know me already. Like, I don't want to repeat the same stories, about Eddie Nash. And, I was just fascinated by him because he would have girls come over to his house, and if they wanted his cocaine, he wouldn't sell it to them. What he would do is go in the bathroom, take a huge shit, and they would have to lick his butt clean.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I hear stories like that, and I really wish I was a coke dealer. I really do, because what a life that would be. But I'll tell you, jail is not for me. And it obviously wasn't Eddie Nash, the guy, I guess, that got shot in the head by a gay prostitute. But there was a guy at the Odyssey that ran a gay prostitute ring, and one of his kids, who was one of the kids who would come in there, snuck up in there and shot this guy in the back of the head. And that guy died, and the other kid went to jail. And they asked him, he was just obviously butt sore about the whole deal.
Right. Well, no, I mean, it's such a seedy. I kind of miss that LA. I mean,
that LA was so much fun.
It was, nowadays you go on the Sunset Strip, and really the Comedy Store is the only place that's rock and late night. Maybe the Rainbow, but I remember, from Doheny and Sunset, which is basically where Gazzari's was. To basically Garden of Eden, Sunset and La Brea.
Okay.
It was just a wild scene.
Yeah. Is the Garden of Eden still there? Is the opium?
No. Spice is gone. Else. Garden of Eden's gone. Gazzari's. It went to Billboard Live, then the Key Club, and then now it's that One Oak, which is like Jay-Z's franchise. But they must make great money because One Oak is open, I think, Thursday through Saturday. That's it. So that's a pretty big rent for them to be closed 4 days out of the week and still be around. So now it's it's just the Rainbow, which is still great to eat at. It's the only place in LA where you could be dining, and the table to your left is Axl Rose, and the table to your right is an Axl Rose impersonator. And, of course, Ron Jeremy in the corner.
Awesome.
And I want you to know, the only other person I've wanted as badly, there's two people I've wanted on this podcast from day one. Three, you. There's another actor. I don't know. There's a movie with Roy Scheider in 1986 that came out, 52 Pickup. Anne Margaret.
Yeah.
But the bad guy in that movie, another gentleman named John Glover, and I'm telling you,
John Glover.
He's one of those, and I hate saying character actor because I think that's a almost like a dismissive term. But he's an amazing bad guy, and I can't, I don't know where he is. And Ron Jeremy,
Yeah, Ron, you gotta have Ron Jeremy. Ron Jeremy, would you let him sit on this couch? I mean, he's probably been on this couch in more ways than one, but yeah, you gotta have Ron Jeremy on the show. You got to.
I saw him at the Comedy Store recently, and I'm like, I don't get starstruck around too many people.
Come on, a hedgehog.
And I walked
and he
up.
does this kind of thing.
Well, he'll do anything.
He'll do it.
But unlike you and your willingness to do this show, which I'm eternally grateful for, I'm like, hey, Mr. Jeremy, I'm a big fan. I don't really watch porn, but I know you'd probably have some great stories. John Holmes, Eddie Nash. Just you've lived the life that we all dream about.
Yeah.
Would you come on my podcast? And he looks at me and goes, what's a podcast?
Yep.
Probably not going to be a good guest.
Well, I don't.
What's a podcast?
He doesn't know, but I mean, he'd love to talk about himself. If you ask questions like you do, and you're informed like you are, and you respect the guest, he'll talk about it.
Well, I try and be. I mean, really only one guest has been a little rough to talk to, and I won't say who they are.
Why not?
Well, she was, it probably narrows it down knowing the number of female guests I've had is limited. They did not want to really talk about their past anymore, but they hadn't really done a lot currently. So it's like, well, what do you want to talk about?
What'd you have for breakfast?
Yeah, and I was thankful.
Work out.
Yeah, it's like, I was thankful that they came here, because I know it's weird to get a call or message from some guy you don't know, say, hey, will you come to my house and do this podcast? And so I try and be respectful of, people's accomplishments, which are more than mine. But
you're very self-effacing.
But it's true, though.
Describe, what does John Glover look like? Is he a white guy with...
Let me pull up his he's a very good-looking guy.
Yeah, I know who he is. He's got, he's kind of like strong jaw, big teeth, like big eyes, if I'm thinking of who it is. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm telling you, this isn't the best picture of him.
Yeah, I know who he is.
But because in 52 Pickup, he was very clean-shaven.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to...
Right, no, I know who he's big teeth. He's awesome. That guy's great. Yeah.
Huge.
Roy Scheider, I fucking love that guy. What? They don't make him like that anymore, man.
Well, I am very happy. I mean, you talk about, Roy Scheider. I don't know if an actor's ever had a career or a decade that he had in the 70s.
Yeah. I love those. Those are my favorite movies.
French Connection.
Yeah, French Connection.
Marathon Man. Obviously Jaws. And,
all that jazz.
All that Bob Fosse.
Killed me in that movie.
And then, I think what killed him was he had to do Jaws 2.
Oh, yeah.
He had done like principal photography on Deer Hunter for the Robert De Niro part. He was the original choice.
I didn't know that.
And he had some contract dispute, and they basically said, we'll let you out of the contract, but instead of Deer Hunter, you have to do a sequel to Jaws. And he did, and it wasn't I liked it, but I liked Porky's 3. So speaking of Porky's, and this is why I appreciate you so much. I once saw Pee-wee at the DMV with his wife and kids, and we locked eyes, and he knew I was going to come up to him. And I don't bother celebrities. I really don't, because I respect, you're not on when you're at the DMV. And he just looked at me and goes, I don't want to talk about it. Like,
that's funny.
Well, you've only done 3 movies, brother. What else am I supposed to talk to you about?
I'm into stock trading now.
I think he
real
is
estate.
Now. So thank you, Dan Monahan, for I'd like to get him so we can reconnect, like you and I have. So this is the part of the pod, Mr.
Yeah, let's
Philbin.
get down to business. We got
no. What? Where? I mean, I know people can see you on Facebook.
I am on Facebook. They can friend me. My name's John Philbin. I'm not, and I teach surfing. And I've got a website, Pro Surf Instruction. I'll be in a movie coming out called Undateable John. Very close to the bone on that one. And come take a surf lesson.
And do you do Twitter or no? Instagram?
No, I don't. I do Instagram, but I don't take pictures. I just look at other people's pictures.
So you're not even on it. You look at Instagram, but you're not on it.
I'm on it. I'm on Instagram.
At John Philbin?
John Philbin.
Okay.
No.
And I would suggest getting on Twitter.
I don't know what that is, really. I don't know how to... Do I have to learn something new? Why should I be on Twitter?
Well, to plug your surfing business. When Undateable John comes out, it's great. I think we have the same mindset. It's like, I don't want to do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Now a big thing is Periscope.
I'm not doing it.
Which is, like if it's on your phone, and like right now I could Periscope you on the couch and it's broadcast. It's almost like a live broadcast, and but it's too distracting for me to be going like this and looking at your info here. It's like, and we're gonna end the podcast, and I hesitate in doing this to you.
Here it comes.
But this is more for my buddy Adam, the talent coordinator at the Comedy Store, who loves the North Shore.
Anytime.
He really wants you to say your iconic line,
which is
the reef line.
The reef. Oh, reef. When the wave.
So I'm going to play Rick Kane. I don't know if this is the exact line Rick uses, but just sets you up for the scene. And maybe afterwards you could critique my acting.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I know what to say.
Yeah. Your line is basically, and I'm not going to do an impression. This is weird that I'm going to do an impression of you, like right in front of you. Your line, I believe, and we don't have to go for 100% accuracy here, Mr. Philbin, but I believe Rick says, well, tell me what I should do out there. And your line is, you see that reef? You better be there, because if you're there, you're going to get drilled.
Okay, I know it.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right. Now I'm going to treat this like it's real, like we're on the set of North Shore 2. It's a flashback scene. Did you have something?
I was going to start you off by saying the reef. There's a reef?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
See that reef?
Yeah, right. Got it.
You better be there.
Okay, got it.
Because if you're there, you're going to get drilled.
Right. That was actually pretty good.
I mean, I don't do a great accent. I don't
either. That was 30 years ago, but I will do my best.
Yeah, but you're Turtle.
I'll do my best.
All right.
Here I go. Doing my best.
Okay.
Ready?
Sound, speed, rolling, North Shore, reef scene, take one, action. So, hey, man, tell me what I should do out there.
You really coming? All right, we see that reef? That reef starts here and it stretches all the way down to there. So when the wave breaks here, don't be there or you're going to get drilled.
Cut. Guys, let me tell you something.
Thank you very much.
If I die tomorrow, my life is complete.
Yeah, we just did the scene from North Shore on
so
Earl Sickles.
All you people out there who tell me how to do a podcast, when you can have Turtle come to your house and reenact scenes from North Shore, then you can tell me how to run a fucking podcast. This has been, no offense to Stephen Piercy or any of the other great guests I've had, without a doubt, my favorite episode. And no offense to Roddy Piper, a WWE legend, but this will break the Inappropriate Earl internet. We are on iTunes and SoundCloud. Send John Philbin a Facebook friend request. Take a surf lesson from him. Don't be a dick and call him and try and talk to him about North Shore for 15 minutes. I've been there. I've done that. This man's getting Undateable John coming out. Can they see it in theaters? I mean, what are...
Probably not. I don't know. Maybe for a weekend. Who knows? Look for it, though.
Well, just follow John Philbin.
Maybe it'll be on YouTube.
Facebook. We're going to work on that YouTube idea I had. And Mr. Philbin, I can't thank you enough. It took a lot of balls for you to come into a stranger's house, talk about your recovery, talk about Mexican mules shitting heroin bags out. You don't
Meth.
You don't get this on the Tonight Show or the new Corbin Show or any other shows I sent writing packets in for and didn't get accepted. You want good interviews, you come to Inappropriate Earl, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Leave a review for this one, and we'll be back for more next week. Mr. Philbin, Turtle, Nathaniel from Point Break, you're the best.
Aloha and mahalo.